Hello, very good evening. Many thanks for joining us here on GBC24. We are also live on GTV. This is News Hour. My name is Abdul Haji Mumin.
And I am Shirley Annan. Robert Fimpomanso is our signer for tonight. And
coming up tonight in this bulletin, customs officers impound vehicles loaded with shotguns, cartridges, and substances suspected to be Indian hemp.
Newly elected president of Burkina Faso, Roch Christian Marc Kabore, sworn into office.
And Global Health Authority declares Guinea free of Ebola. Now we'll give you the news in detail, and we'll start from Aplau, where customs officers at one of the country's main borders crossings have impounded a vehicle loaded with close to 100,000 shotgun cartridges or bullets and 56 parcels of compressed substances suspected to be Indian hemp.
The arrest took place at the Ponglo barrier near Joje in the Volta region. The truck, believed to be en route into country from neighboring Togo, was heading towards the Volta regional capital Ho when the arrest took place. No arrests have yet been made since the occupants of the vehicle absconded.
Records of the Customs Division at the border indicate that the same truck has made about 6 entries into the country so far. It is feared that the same items and in large quantities could have been carted into the country. The truck, with a Nigerian registration number KTU 444XD, was intercepted at the Poglo barrier near Joje en route to Ho in the Volta region on Sunday, the 27th of December 2015. The officers requested to search the truck after an interrogation and pressed for further checks. The checks by the customs officers then revealed that the occupants had concealed the shotgun cartridges in the truck's false compartment. Sensing danger, the 3 occupants of the truck, including the driver, took to their heels. The truck's inscription included "Trust in God, Hope of Joy, and Lord of Mercy." Briefing the media after an inspection, dismantling and counting exercise at Aflau, the Assistant Commissioner of Customs at the Aflau border, Confidence Nyaji, said a total of 99,116 pieces of shotgun cartridges and 56 parcels of compressed substances suspected to be Indian hemp were found in the truck's false compartment.
At the time that they were conducting examination, I was told that they gave a pretext and then they sneaked away. That is it, apparently because they knew there was something to hide. But at the time that our officers realized there was something in it, they couldn't trace them again. But if they should be arrested, they will face the law. We need more people and more logistics. But of course, this is what we have to make do with, and we are managing with what we have.
In a related development, the service has also intercepted and arrested a truck with registration number BA1156P and a minibus with registration number GE4776-11 attempting to evade tax on quantities of items including food and cooking products.
President John Mahama is in neighboring Burkina Faso to attend the inauguration of the newly elected president of the West African Cotton Major Roch Marc Christian Kabore. The 58-year-old Kabore, a former prime minister, was elected last November as part of transitional arrangements put in place by the regional bloc ECOWAS during the chairmanship of President John Mahama.
Originally planned for October, the elections had to be postponed to November because of the coup by the presidential guards. West African leaders, including President Mahama, saw to the restoration to office of the transitional president and the prime minister. On the trip to Ouagadougou is former President Jerry John Rawlings and his wife, Nana Kunedu Ajuman Rawlings, the General Secretary of the NDC, Mr. Johnson Asidun Katia, and the leader of the PNC, Dr. Edward Mahama, are also part of the government delegation to the inaugural ceremony.
And back home, 6 months after the June 3rd floods and fire in the national capital, Accra, residents and traders living in and around the Guel filling station at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle have not been able to restore their properties.
GBC24's visit to the area showed most of the houses burnt are yet to be renovated.
It It is a day many wish to forget. After several hours of heavy rain in Accra, many parts of the city, especially areas with poor drainage system, were completely submerged and thus destroyed loss of property. Apart from the flood which washed many people away at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, the Goyle filling station, which is a transit point for many commuters, exploded with fire. 6 months after the disaster, GBC24 discovered that most of the structures which were destroyed remain in the same state. Residents say they are counting on support from the government to get back to everyday life.
We have not received any assistance from the government.
This house is one of the houses adjacent to the destroyed filling station. More than 20 people lived here before June 3rd. The only person left here is this man who's lived here with his 2 children for the past 20 years.
People, soldier people, the army, they come and take our name and go and come. So we are afraid that you have a lawyer. So we are giving him the go-ahead to take up the matter for us.
Some of the drivers and traders who have been able to get back on their feet say business has been slow. Kofi Daniel, a driver who survived the flood and fire, says in all, about 30 of his friends, including his mates, lost their lives to the fire.
I managed to swim to safety, but all my friends and my mates died.
Victims of the fire disaster still hope that the government can give them some support to put their structures and businesses together. Meanwhile, the Odo River, which is believed to be a part of the cause of the flooding on that day, is still not completely clear of sand and weeds. Thus, the residents say it's another disaster waiting to happen when any rains set in.
The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, working in partnership with the National Health Insurance Authority, has registered about 1,000 head porters, also known as Kayaye, onto the scheme.
This latest registration exercise, which took place at some markets in Accra, adds to the growing list of disadvantaged and vulnerable people registered onto the scheme by the Gender Ministry.
The registration was directed at Kayaye, who operate mainly from the Malamata, Nima, Mamobi, Madina, Tema Station, Agboglushi and 31st markets. It was free of charge and falls in line with the ministry's mandate to empower the vulnerable to easily access healthcare. The Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection said her ministry is rolling out interventions to ensure that services relating to gender-based violence and the vulnerable are available and accessible, especially to female head porters, women and children. 2 gender-based violence response centers have been established at the Agboglushi and Malamata markets, where head porters can access social services essential to building their confidence to resist gender-based violence. An official of the National Health Insurance Authority, Mr. Benjamin Kusi, said the NHIS is a pro-poor initiative to ensure equity in the healthcare coverage and guarantee access to healthcare services for the poor. The president of the Kayaye Association of Ghana, Mr. Mohammed Salifu, commended the ministry for the initiative and said the exercise is a bigger project for Kayaye and must not be politicized. He also drew the attention of the ministry to some head porters who are being trafficked to engage in prostitution outside the country by some group of persons and called for proper investigation to arrest the traffickers.
Well, away from that and away from the capital, the Minister for Petroleum, Mr. Emmanuel Amakofibua, says the oil and gas industry holds a lot of prospects for the country's rapid socio-economic development.
In a briefing to the Western Regional House of Chiefs on developments in the sector, he said gas resources will be used to create a petrochemical industry to support the agricultural sector through the production of fertilizers.
This is the second time the ministry has organized such a meeting for the chiefs after the maiden one organized last year. Since the production of oil began in the country 5 years ago, expectations of a lot of Ghanaians, especially the oil-fringed communities, are very high as the socio-economic benefits the oil find can bring to the nation. As traditional rulers remain key partners in the country's development, the ministry regularly updates them on developments to enable them to deal with expectations of the people. The platform has enabled the ministry to collate ideas and concerns of the chiefs about developments in the petroleum sector. Resource persons from the Petroleum Ministry, the Petroleum Commission, the Talu Ghana Limited and the Ghana Gas Company took the chiefs through various development issues in the petroleum sector, including local content and participation, latest developments about the Off-Cape 3 points and the 10 oil projects, community relations and local development, and identifying and managing project risks. Petroleum Minister Mr. Emmanuel Amakofi-Bua said the country's local content law has made a good impact with over 300 Ghanaian companies engaged under the law. He said half of the country's LPG requirement is being met by the Ghana Gas Company. The minister said the petroleum industry holds a lot of prospects for the rapid socio-economic development of the country.
We said that the revenue that is going to come from this industry must be used in the right places to the benefit of the people of Ghana, must be managed transparently, and must be guided by law. People of Ghana must not just be doing labor work, they must be in the forefront of the industry and be the ones that are really controlling the industry.
The acting president of the Western Regional House of Chiefs, Nana Kwesi Agyeman, and the acting paramount Queen Mother of the Shama traditional area, Nana Akwesi Jamfiaba, said stakeholder engagement always brings the desired results.
The First Lady, Mrs. Lordina Mahama, has donated medical supplies and equipment to the Atebu, Kwame Danso, Prang, Kajiji, and Kintampo hospitals, all in the Bunahafo region.
Presentation by the Lordina Foundation is to help supplement the government's effort to ensure that quality health care is available for all. The government hospitals visited by the team were the Atebubu, Kwame Danso, Prang, Kajiji and Kintampo hospitals, all in the Bunahafo region. These add up to more than 40 hospitals across the country the Lordina Foundation has helped to replenish with medical supplies. This was in partnership with MedShare USA. During the presentations at separate ceremonies, the First Lady Mrs. Lordina Mahama said that there cannot be development in the country without a healthy workforce, adding that a healthy nation is a wealthy nation.
Of the Municipal Health Committee.
Mrs. Mahama said, just as other professions have to grapple with their own challenges, the health profession in today's complex world is also faced with the challenge of improving the quality of care it offers. Therefore, she says all must play their roles in achieving quality health care for all.
In acknowledging the contributors to the realization of quality health care, we must recognize that, among others, doctors and nurses are essential players, especially in our rural communities, where access to health facilities and health workers are limited. I say ayuko to you, our selfless health workers, for your dedication and service to humanity.
Mrs. Mahama said the government is on course with plans to upgrade health facilities, particularly regional and district hospitals, CHIPS compounds and polyclinics across the country. She encouraged health professionals to strive to be that great medical professional who does not treat just the disease but also the person who has the disease. She called on chiefs and community members to support health personnel as they provide the needed quality care at the health facilities. All beneficiaries were grateful for the gesture.
Live on your all news channel GBC24 and GTV. We have business coming up shortly. Please stay with us.
Good evening, you're most welcome to the business news. Let's do business. My name is Esther Edu. To reduce the cost of operations, Newmont has come up with an initiative in the mining, processing and supply chain. The company's communication and external relations manager, Mr. Odro Kwate Mafo, has launched what is known as the Achim Full Potential at Koforidua.
Newmont Golden Ridge's interaction with various media organizations in the region was to take stock of past activities. There was a discussion on the Achim Full Potential. This is being pioneered by the company to ensure that mining companies operate to their full potential. The senior communications manager of Newmont Golden Age, Mr. John Okran, acknowledged the media's support over the years and hoped it will continue in the years ahead. This was a meeting to maintain the existing relationship with the media, celebrate their successes, and also share the challenges.
Your support helped us to share our success stories, challenges, and also reinforce the Newmont brand, and also by creating shared value for our stakeholders, which includes our workers, business partners, and community stakeholders.
The Communication and External Relations Manager of Newmont Golden Ridge, Mr. Odro Kwate Mafo, gave details about the Achim Full Potential.
In October, we achieved 365 days of zero harm. This is a significant feat in the mining industry. Achim also won the Best Safe Mine, not just in 2013, but also in 2014, the only mine to win such an award twice on a row. In November, we successfully poured our 1 million ounces of gold, and the mine was also adjudged the best performer in innovation by the Ghana Chamber of Mines.
The company also called on the authorities to deal with illegal mining, which is destroying the country's forests and water bodies.
2 years ago, it was all smiles for people who invested in equities listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange. That is, in 2013, returns on investment was 75%, but in 2015, it has dropped to as low as negative 13%. The managing director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Mr. Kofi Yamwa, says the depreciation of the cedi, high interest rate, and the power crisis are to be blamed for the poor performance of the market.
2015 can be best described as one of the difficult years in the history of Ghana. Inflation rate at the end of November stood at 17.6%. Interest rate is hovering around 33%, and the cedi has been depreciated against the dollar by 16%, as well as the energy crisis. One sector that has suffered greatly from these trends is the stock market. The market has been in operation since the 1990s. The stock operates two markets, the main market and the alternative market for SMEs, also known as the GAGs. As at November 2015, the market had registered 41 companies on both the main and the alternative market. The market, which has been recording consistent performance in the past 5 years, saw its fortunes dwindling since 2014. In 2013, prices of securities on the market recorded 75% increase, but dropped to 5% in 2014, and as at November 2015, the market had recorded 13%. The value of shares traded on the market had also dropped from 350 million to 200 million shares. The stock exchange currently has 38 equities from 36 companies and 2 corporates with a market capitalization of more than 56 million Ghana cedis. The managing director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Mr. Kofi Yamwa, describes 2015 as a difficult year for listed companies on the market.
As a country, we've not also done very well as far as the exchange rate regime is concerned. The cedi has fallen last year and this year significantly. And if you take a look at the energy challenges that are still persisting, you wouldn't blame companies for underperformance in terms of what they have turned out, and that has affected the market as well.
The Group Chief Executive of Databank, Kojo Adaimensa, says the bearishness of the market has a tendency of eroding the confidence of investors in the market.
people think that the Ghana Stock Exchange is a small exchange and nobody's watching, but we have a lot of people who are interested in developing economies and on stock exchanges like the Ghana Stock Exchange. So if you recall, at the beginning of the year, the CD was really depreciating at a very fast rate. The macroeconomic fundamentals were really poor. So what happens is that the institutional investors from abroad, those who are investing from Europe and America, come in and pull out for their investments, and they will pull out at whatever price it is they will get.
Mr. Yamwa said the poor performance of the economy also affected the volumes of shares traded in 2015.
Last year, 2014, at the end of the year, the value traded was about 320 million. To date, we are around 220 million thereabout. A significant drop in the value of shares traded, i.e. 2015 compared to 2014. And that is a reflection of what as a country we've gone through over the past 14, 15, 2 years.
However, they were upbeat that the market can bounce back if the macro imbalances are corrected in 2016.
Once the T-bill rate and the yield curve is being corrected, that helps a lot, so money that was supposed to go into companies or lending credit that should go into companies to help them grow goes there and doesn't rather go into T-bills where most banks will just invest in T-bills and sit back. You can't blame them if they do that, but once the T-bill trends downwards, that'll be okay.
The 13% drop in the performance of the stock means that the total market capitalization of more than 56 million Ghana cedis has also decreased by that margin, and this will translate into a 13% loss of funds invested in the market by investors.
On the interbank markets, the US dollar is selling at 3 cedi 70 pesos, 5 cedi 60 pesos for the pound sterling, while the euro is being sold for 4 Ghana cedis. And on the international commodities market, crude oil gained 0.16 cents to sell at $36.97. The price of gold is hovering around the $1,000 mark an ounce after it gained $9.20. And that was some business for today. Have a good evening. Food vendors in the country have been advised to adhere to proper preservation methods in the face of severe harmattan. The aim is to ensure that they serve quality, healthy food to customers this season.
Harmattan is a period characterized by severe dry desert winds, creating hot days and cool nights. During this day, there's usually dust in the air, there's poor visibility, and this blocks the sun for several days. Again, during the harmattan season, the preservation of food becomes a big challenge for most food sellers. Due to the excess dust in the atmosphere, food easily becomes contaminated, and keeping food hot or warm also becomes a major problem. Foods like fufu and banku easily become hard, and this affects sales. Some food sellers express their thoughts on the issue.
So yeah, glasses I had shemunu. I saw so na ya dia kata so. Tell me food no nka aduane no.
A nurse at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Madame Crystal Clotte, however, advised food sellers to properly preserve their food during the Harmattan season.
During Harmattan season, there is a lot of dust flowing around, and this dust that flows around contains a lot of disease-causing agents. We suggest or advise that food sellers should cover their food properly as much as possible.
Despite the challenges these food sellers are facing as a result of the Harmattan, they have been advised to keep their food properly covered. This will prevent the food from coming into contact with dust, which can affect the health of their customers.
Global health authorities are declaring Guinea free of Ebola after more than 2,500 people died from the disease in the country. The designation leaves only Liberia still waiting for an official end to the epidemic. World Bank Group President Kim Jong-kim issued a statement congratulating Guinea on reaching the milestone. He urged vigilance to stay at 0 cases. There will be a formal ceremony on Wednesday to mark the declaration in Conakry. In November, the last known Ebola patient in Guinea, a 21-day-old baby girl, recovered at a treatment center in Conakry. The incubation period for Ebola is 21 days, and out of an abundance of caution, twice that period of time must pass before the World Health Organization declares the disease is defeated in a country. Up next is news from across our borders.
Now to check out what's happening in other parts of the world, and former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert has been ordered to serve 18 months in jail for bribery. Olmert had been sentenced to 6 years by a lower court in 2014, but this was reduced by the Supreme Court. The 70-year-old was convicted over a property deal that took place while he served as mayor of Jerusalem prior to becoming prime minister in 2006. Olmert, who stepped down in 2009, will become the first former Israeli head of government to go to prison. He is due to begin serving his sentence on 15th February. The Supreme Court acquitted Olmert of receiving a $130,000 bribe from the developers of Holy Land, a controversial block of flats in Jerusalem, after he appealed against the March 2014 conviction. A separate conviction of illicitly taking a 60,000 shekel payment for another project was upheld. Several other government officials and business people were convicted alongside Olmert in 2014. A German court sentenced the former Rwandan mayor to life in prison on Tuesday, convicting him of a second trial of participating in genocide for helping organize the killing of about 400,000 members of the Tutsi minority in 1994. Once for Rubukumbe, 58, was convicted in 2014 of being an accessory to genocide and sentenced to 14 years in prison. Both sides appealed that ruling, and federal court found that evidence heard at the original 3-year trial suggested that there was sufficient evidence for a tougher conviction. Mr. Rubukumbe, who sought asylum in Germany in 2002, was arrested in 2010 on an international warrant and has been in custody since then. More than 800,000 ethnic Tutsis and moderate Hutus were killed in Rwanda's 1994 genocide. For a brief of what's happening in the world of sports, we'll tell you when we come back from this break. Now, let's tell you what's happening in the world of sports, because the president of the Ghana Football Association, Kwesi Nyantakyi, has praised Azakes ladies for winning this year's league. Kwesi Nyantakyi said the GFA will do everything within its means to develop the league to an appreciable standard next season.
Sekindi-based Azakes ladies over the weekend made history by winning the National Women's Football League for the third time in a row. They pipped Ampim Dakua ladies by a goal to nil to carry the day. The GFA president, Mr. Kwesi Nyantechi, congratulated the team for the feat.
Azakes has won 3 times on the trot, and that is the first time. It's unprecedented. And I think we need to congratulate them, the management, the players, and the technical team. We will continue to develop the game, support women's football. The women's competition has no sponsor. We are the sole sponsors. And so I may wish to use this platform as an opportunity to appeal to people who are kind-hearted, who have interest in women's football, to come to our aid to help develop the game at that level.
Coaches of both sides were happy at the turn of events.
I'm so much happy because I've won the trophy for the 3rd time, and it wasn't easy for me. And I'm very thankful to the players, the technical staff, the supporters, and all and sundry.
You know, I didn't see the other side play. That is the southern side. So I've seen the level. I'm playing Azakes now. I know the level of the southern side. And I can really tell you that I'll beef up some of the lapses I noticed in my team. And then next season, I promise you next season, I will be unstoppable.
Some of the players promised to work more when given call-ups into the national team.
We used the first half to steady them. When we came in for the second half, I mean, the little experience that we have, we just use it on them and then we kill them. So that's what it was a very tough game, but experience counts a lot in football.
Last season I was the best player, and this season I won the best player. And next season I'll try and do extra hard and then win it for 3 times too.
Azakes ladies centre-back Jeanette Ejri was adjudged the 2015 best player. Prisla Dobia of Ampim Dakua ladies was the most promising player of the championship, while Beatrice Ntiwa was adjudged the best goalkeeper of the season. Other awards such as Fair Play Team of the Season went to Ampim Dakua ladies.
We'll turn our attention to basketball now. Adenton Leopards Basketball Club are this year's Greater Accra Basketball Chairman's Cup winners. They beat Rangers of Teshi Nungwa by 74 points to 55.
The basketball competition started by the Greater Accra Basketball Association to discover talents from the lower division of the elite competition. The final match was a clash between the Leopards of Adenta and the Rangers of Teshi Nungwa in colorful blue-black jerseys. Both sides displayed speed, skill and stamina to the admiration of the fans gathered. The backline of the Rangers could not contain the pace and skill of the Leopards' attacking machinery. They lost to the Leopards 74 points to 55. Trophies were presented to Division 1 winners, with the Braves of Ghana Revenue Authority winning the league titles for both the female and male categories. Dynasty Basketball Club, who made tops in Division 2, were also decorated. Chairman of the Greater Accra Basketball Association, Benjamin Befi, was optimistic of getting players to feed the national teams.
The second time we are playing this Chairman's Cup. It is a tournament that was organized by I, being the chairman of Greater Accra Basketball, just to cut them young and make sure that we use young guys to play this particular tournament, so that at least we can get more guys who will enter into basketball. So that is why they are playing there. And this is Division 2. We have
To climax the night, individual awards were presented. The Best Player Award for men went to Romeo Ralph Enam of Braves from the Ghana Revenue Authority. The Best Player for the Women's Division went to Belinda Terrier, also of Braves. The Most Valuable Player accolade for Division 2 went to David.
On the other side of this break, we have Valerie Danso standing by with entertainment news.
Hello, good evening. Time for entertainment news. P&K are the newest addition to the Ghanaian music industry. They hope to feed their fans with good lyrics as their contribution to gospel music. They were guests on our showbiz segment here on GBC24. How many years has it been since you guys have been in the music industry?
Since we came together as P&K, we're getting close to 1 year.
To a year now. Wow,
yes.
a year. Has it been difficult or easy?
You know, it wouldn't be that easy.
For some people, it's easy.
It's not easy anyway.
Okay.
I believe it's not easy because you have to pass through a process and it entails a lot.
Okay.
And at the end of the day,
and to add to him, I think one thing I believe in is that if you're doing something and you don't go through challenges, to me, I think you should end it.
Okay.
Because yes, you won't really get anywhere.
Okay.
Yes. In the past year, it has not been easy because
Oyine wona yanko opekese jama dini we radia so fiti kroti aba na waje fiefie mu kantamanto awu kantamu awuntu yewe wona tontom se.
What is the wow factor that P&K are bringing to the gospel music industry?
You see, with gospel music, it takes different genre and different style in doing the gospel music. You know, there are some of the songs that you cannot go as slow as some other people might do. For example, if you take an energetic song like Praises or something, there's no way you can sing, let me use the word romantically, as people would say, or very soft like that. And some of the songs too, you can go that soft way. So I disagree to the fact that gospel musicians do shout that much. It depends on the kind of song you do.
Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let.
Game of Thrones has topped the 2015 list of the most pirated shows for the 4th year running. More than half of the downloads came in the week after its US. That's it for this segment. The weather report is next.
And that's it for the news for now. We'll be back at 10:30. But before we go, a quick reminder of the stories that made headlines in this bulletin. And customs officers have impounded a vehicle loaded with close to 100,000 shotguns, cartridges or bullets, and 56 parcels of substances suspected to be Indian hemp at the Poglo barrier near Joje in the Volta region. The truck was from neighboring Togo and heading towards the Volta regional capital, Ho, when the arrest took place.
President John Mahama is in neighboring Burkina Faso to attend the inauguration of the newly elected president of the West African country, Major Roch Marc Christian Kabore. The 58-year-old Kabore, a former prime minister, was elected last November as part of transitional arrangements put in by ECOWAS.
And global health authorities have declared Guinea free of Ebola after more than 2,500 people died from the disease in the country. The designation leaves only Liberia still waiting for an official end to the epidemic. There will be a formal ceremony on Wednesday to mark the declaration in Conakry. We'll now draw the curtains and return at 10:30 with more news. Stay with us here on GBC24.